Thank you for listening to the BJJ Brick Podcast. We'll be bringing you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and good times. We hope to flatten your Jiu-Jitsu learning curve, help you get the most out of your grappling ability, and meet your goals both on and off the mat.
Welcome back, my friends. Episode 93 of the BJJ Brick Podcast. Today we have a great show. We have an interview with Ricardo Franjinha Miller. I think everybody knows who he is. Just an incredible jiu-jitsu artist, and we're going to be talking to him. And as always, I've got Byron here. How are you doing today, Byron?
Gary, I'm doing great. Like you mentioned, we're super excited for this interview. Legendary practitioner and coach. You know, he's coached some of the top talent in the sport today, and he's always has exciting matches, and his guys are always in exciting matches. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's got some guys I really, some of his black belts I really love to watch. Glover, for example. I love watching Jeff Glover. He's very, very exciting to watch.
He, I don't want to spoil the secret, but during the interview, he reveals his ratio of black belts to how many waivers have been signed. And that gives you an interesting statistic as far as how many people come in the door and are interested in jiu-jitsu and versus how many people actually get black belts. So I think that was pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, you think about how many people don't train more than a couple months or a couple years and drop out during the time. So yeah, it's a neat statistic. So definitely stay tuned to listen to that.
So if you want to play like a little game with yourself, say
yes.
if how many people have to come in the door and sign a waiver to produce one black belt. And by the end of this episode, we'll have the answer from Franjinha. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it may not be statistically, numbers that are going to hit for everybody, but for Franjinha, it's kind of neat. So definitely stay tuned for that. We also have a quote from Danny Alvarez today. We had him on last week, so we get double dose of Danny Alvarez today.
Yep, and we got a lot of great reception from his two-part episode there. So let's go ahead and let's get on with the quote, Gary, and then we'll come back and talk about it a little bit. What do you think?
That's perfect.
Our team motto, nobody's tried to take it at all, but we've been using it for years. But like all our T-shirts say respect all, fear none. Respect your opponent. But don't fear them. That's all over our T-shirts and everywhere else.
Done.
Really, that's the what martial arts is all about. Showing respect to your opponents, to everybody in everyday life. But it's just an opponent. You've got your skills. Don't fear that person. Go out and take it to your opponent. Show them what you got. No fear, but always show that respect.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the mental side of jiu-jitsu, whether it be competing, whether it be.
Hey, I'm good at competing.
Whether you be competing or you're just doing this, for a fun activity, mental things do play quite a bit. And that fear nobody, fear none. That's if you could do that way you compete. If you're not afraid of your opponent, you have a huge mental leg up. That's kind of going back to the BJJ mental coach that we've had on here. Gustavo.
Yeah. Do you see that now, especially too, Byron? Now that you have your black belt, do you see some new people coming in that don't know you're starting at the gym, see you wearing that black belt, and you can kind of tell when they start rolling with you that they're fearing you? Do you see that?
I don't think so because, hey, I'm not a very intimidating person by my looks. I would think, about 175 pounds and average build, but
he does have a strong grip, guys.
But I start the match with the round with a smile, and I, if they look like they're nervous, I'm say we're gonna have fun with this, and that's the key right there.
You're respecting your opponent, your training partner. You're showing respect before it even starts. And with you being the upper belt coming to somebody like that, I can see the person is probably scared right off the bat, but then the way you're talking to them and that smile, they're like, hey, this is a great guy. He's not gonna destroy or smash me. He's making jokes already. So yeah, you're definitely showing the respect.
Yeah, and that's something I picked up from you, Gary. The way you treat somebody who's a little newer, a little less experienced. You got to welcome them onto the mat, and hopefully they have a positive experience with it. And then obviously the first part of this thing is respect all. That's even if they're not very good, even if you're out there competing and your opponent doesn't really deserve a lot of respect. Maybe you've heard about them and you have a negative image of them. Maybe they're over there getting warmed up, and it looks like they're they're a little bit rude about something, or they're loud or annoying. Still give them the respect, especially the respect is really demanded when it comes time to the submission. You've got to respect the person you're training with or you're competing against, and keep everything safe.
Yeah, and I like what you said too. Right off the bat, you said you have to respect your opponent, even if the person's not very good. You kind of went into that a little bit before. You were saying if he's rude or whatever. But especially in this sport, Jiu-Jitsu is a sport where you can be head or tails above somebody in grappling and Jiu-Jitsu. But you make one mistake, a guy with a little bit of skill level can capitalize that and finish. So you have to treat every opponent with respect, knowing that, hey, I make one mistake, he can finish this thing really quick. He gets your neck, he gets your arm straightened out, it's over. So definitely you do need to show respect to the lesser opponent there also.
Yeah, I do see sometimes maybe a different view of the respect all is that after somebody loses sometimes, they get off the mat and they say, man, if I just would have done this, I would have beat that guy for sure. That's... if you just got beat, you just got beat.
You just got beat. Just go back to the drawing board, train harder, work harder. Because, like if you say, "Hey, maybe I could have done this different, and I would have beat him," but then the guy that you just went against, if you would have done that, he would have reacted this way. He's not going to do the exact same thing if you reacted differently. Hopefully, he's not gonna. But so I mean, there's always what ifs, and you just went out there and whatever happened, happened.
Yeah.
Respect and courtesy, shake your opponent's hand, say, hey, great match, I appreciate it. And, and sit back and really learn from your match, there's always positives and negatives. And remember we were talking with, we had an interview with somebody and I liked what they said one time. They always try to make sure there's more positives than negatives when the guy he's coaching comes off the mat. He always starts it off with a positive and tries to make sure there's more positives than negatives when they're going over the match. I always thought that was really cool.
I remember that exactly, Gary. I don't remember who said it. That's the terrible thing about doing so many interviews and so many shows. They kind of get jumbled. But if you come off the mat and you have a complaint about your match, boom, you got to give me two positive things about your tournament.
It's funny. That's one of the things we've both taken away from all these interviews we've done. Well, you've done most of them, but I get to listen to them all. But yeah, I thought that was such a great piece of advice, and I try to use that in the real world too. If I have something bad going on at work and I start complaining, I try to always bring positive stuff in there too to increase my mood, to make me in a better mood there.
Yeah, this has been a fun conversation that spurred off of this quote: "Respect all, fear none."
Respect all, fear none. Great quote. Danny Alvarez. Thanks, Danny.
Gary, if somebody wants to get more of the BJJ Brick podcast, what would be a way they could do that?
You know what they could do to get more of it? They could sign up for a mailing list. And basically, if you sign up for that, you're going to get notified every Tuesday. We're going to send out a link there to the podcast to let you know every Tuesday. And on top of that, you also get some free audio clips from Byron's audiobook. The audiobook's great, so you'll definitely want to buy that. It's only $11.99. Basically, guides you through your first year of Jiu-Jitsu. It's basically like our podcast, Byron talking, telling you about stuff you're going to encounter, and it's about 2.5 hours. Is that correct, Byron?
Yeah, about 2.5.
About 2.5 hours of material. So, but definitely sign up for our mailing list. You'll get notified every Tuesday. You'll also get, like I said, those free audio clips, and check out Byron's audiobook.
Yep, it's titled "Your First Year in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu" or of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Chapter 2 is your first month in BJJ, and I walk you through kind of what will be going on during that first month. Everything from your first day to you getting comfortable with the gym and what you'll be learning there. And if some of this stuff we talk about, I guess I talk about. We'll talk about Gary's book later on. Some of the stuff we talk about, or I talk about, is relevant even if you're past your first month. It may be some things that I'd help you with that you might have missed, or help you, a little later down the road.
When you first started Jiu-Jitsu, Byron, and you started your first couple classes, what was the one thing that stood out to you, the memorable part? Was there, the drilling or the cardio or technique, or is there anything that really sticks out to you?
The technique was I think a big part of it. I didn't understand any of it. I have a brother, and I tried out a little bit of grappling with him as far as submissions and things like that. And didn't really understand anything until you get into an environment where people have some skills and have some training, and it's like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. I remember trying to do somersaults right off the bat, forward rolls, and everybody's making them look so great, and then it comes to me, and I look like a whale that just flopped over, and I just kept trying and trying, and I couldn't get any better at it, and I'd go home, and I'd practice while I was watching TV, and just keep rolling and rolling, and finally I got it, and so I was happy about that.
I'm glad your forward roll is spectacular, Gary.
Why, thank you.
You don't even get dizzy, I could tell.
I've actually had people tell me they think I'm like a 4-stripe white belt in forward rolls, so I'm pretty good at it.
That's excellent. Well, Gary, the music is kind of keeping us moving, I think.
I think it's time for the article of the week. What do we got this week, Byron?
We have an article that is on the website of BJJEE, which is, BJJ Eastern Europe. Does technique really conquer all? 3 BJJ masters give their opinion.
And first of all, I'd like to thank our friend Jake Fox for sending this article. He was reading it one day and thought it'd be perfect for the show, so he sent it to us. So if any of you guys have an article that you've written yourself or a friend's written or you like, send it to us. Maybe we'll use it on the show.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate people sending us articles, and definitely if you are a listener and you happen to have your own website or blog and you write something that you think would be interesting to us and the audience, send it our way. We definitely like to support. BJJEE is a huge website, but we definitely like supporting the smaller websites. Sometimes it's just what we get. He emailed it to us 2 days ago, and here we are today, and it's make it easy on ourselves sometimes. But.
Yeah, we didn't have to go searching for one, so thanks. Saves us some time.
So here we go in the article, Gary. What did you pick up from this?
I remember, me and you have both been training a little while. What are we, about 13 years now? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I don't know. We just add a year occasionally.
We don't even know, somewhere around there.
Since 2002. Yeah,
so that would be 13 there. But I remember when we first started, all we heard about was, I would just hear about technique. Technique is it. Technique is it. No worry about strength or anything else. I always just heard technique. And so it seems like that it's changed today. The technique's still there, but now everybody's cross-training, everybody's doing CrossFit, everybody's working with kettlebells and really working on their strength there also. So it seems like just in the 13 years I've been training, I've seen it go from technique only to strength and technique. I agree, and it's the strength should not be used to make up for lack of technique. I think that's a common mistake, especially at the lower levels, is that your armbar is pretty good, but it's really good if you throw in all your strength and energy. You want the really good armbar before you have that. Yeah, yep. And I know you kind of helped me when we kind of started at the same time, but you got better a lot quicker than I did, and you kind of helped me out a lot. But I would always try to muscle stuff, and I remember you would always talk to me and say, hey, technique, use your technique. And here we are, two guys who really didn't know what we were doing, but it did ring through. And once I really started focusing on my technique and not worrying as much about winning or losing, and as I got a little bit better, working with the younger guys, the newer people coming in, and not just smashing them. Working on a nice sweep that was really technically sound, and that's kind of what built my game is focusing on it instead of worry about getting a submission. I just focused on it, and I got better.
Yeah. Here's a quote from the article: "Technique will always push you forward, but you cannot forget strength. Who is able to combine both will be champion."
Yeah, that's definitely true. Technique and strength is a deadly combination.
I think for recreational jiu-jitsu, technique is a big deal. If you're going to spend 10 hours a week in some kind of training, if most of that is on the mat, that's great. If you get a little bit on the weights or something like that helps too. But if you're going to do high-level competition, which any competition that you're going to...
It's going to be high level.
I hope well, it's high level for you,
Yeah.
It's going to matter.
If you're there, it's high level.
So strength does come into play. If you're having to overuse strength, you're going to get tired quicker. But if you are conditioned for that and you're more of an athlete, I think that's kind of what we're getting into is athleticism is important as technique. So who would, as I read this article, it's still kind of, it seems like a while ago is romanticized that you didn't need any strength or anything like that in order to do well. Just the technique is going to be, is what's going to reign supreme. And I remember that point of view, and that generally holds true if one person is terrible at jiu-jitsu. It doesn't really matter how strong or weak they are.
You think about how many times when we were just not very good, but we'd been training a year or two, and next thing you know, and Byron and I were both not big, strong guys. You see us two walking down the street, you'd probably laugh at us. I don't think we'd scare too many people, but I just remember a lot of times we'd have big football players come in, guys who, bench press 315 pounds or whatever, and they would come in, and right off the bat, you would just feel that incredible strength as they tied up with you. But next thing you know, you got to swept them really easy. You end up tying them up, and next thing you know, you're either choking or arm barring them. I just remember that just happening over and over again. It's but it's like you said, because we had the skill level, they just had the strength, the athleticism. They didn't have the technique. They didn't have really any clue of what we were doing to them.
Yeah, that cluelessness is a big deal. I remember a lot of times, like as a blue belt, and you get athletic white belt who has picked up a little bit. That it's not their first day, it's not their first week or month even, but they're still a white belt, and they're not really that far off of that or into that. Having some really tough roles, and it was frustrating.
It was frustrating. I had a lot of those also. Those are the times where, especially early in your career, it makes you sometimes think, boy, do I want to keep doing this? But jiu-jitsu is a journey. There's days that you may think that's a bad day. That's not a bad day at all. That's really making you better. You're learning a lot from that. It's once we get rid of that ego, you'll see that, hey, that technique, it doesn't matter. That guy's pushing me. He's pushing me technique-wise. He's pushing me strength and conditioning-wise. I need that.
I think basically the overall emphasis of the article is saying that it's a factor. It's a relevant factor. If you are hoping to do well on just technique alone, it's going to be a tough road. And really, if you go in there and you don't do any off the mat training, and you win your purple belt division without much trouble, and
you're probably a natural. You're a guy. If you did that without doing any cross training, as soon as you start hitting some cross training, you're just really going to explode.
That would be a way to take your game to the next level. But really, that person may not really be much of a purple belt anymore. It might be time for them to be moving on to the next step. That's really they're a whole other level of skill ahead if you're able to beat supposedly similar skill leveled with the athleticism.
I will say that it seems like my toughest roles are the guys who know just enough jiu-jitsu to stay out of stuff, but are very, very strong and have cardio for days. I always hate that role. I don't hate it, as I get a great roll in, but those are the people that I have a lot of trouble with. A really strong, very well-conditioned person.
I'm thinking of your buddy Mike already when you said that, Gary. On a side note, he is tough to finish. I know he listens, so little shout out to our buddy Mike. Well, that I think wraps up our article of the week. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. It's BJJEE, or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Eastern Europe.com. The article is titled "Does Technique Really Conquer All?" And
so
they've got
check that out.
Yeah, they've got quotes from 3 different Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu masters, and they give their opinions. So, interesting read.
Definitely a great read. Byron, I think it's time for our interview.
Before we roll the interview here, just a little note that we have a little bit of trouble with the sound for the first few minutes in the interview, and then we hang up and reconnect, and it's a lot better after that. So you can understand what he's saying. Just hang in there. There's just a little bit of noise and distraction as far as sound quality goes, but we'll reconnect here in a few minutes after the interview gets going, and it's pretty seamless from there on out. So here we go. He is the most interesting grappler in the world.
Ronda Rousey's mom taught him a few judo throws in exchange for some armbar tips. In the finals of his most recent tournament, he was stuck in a triangle. He managed to take a selfie and post it on Facebook before escaping. He can call an IBJJF referee anytime, day or night, to find out what condition his condition is in.
Dropped in to see what condition my condition was in.
Yeah, oh yeah, what condition my condition was in.
I don't always listen to podcasts, but when I do, I prefer the BJJ Brick podcast.
I pushed my soul.
Stay sweaty, my friends.
All right, my friends, I'm happy to bring Ricardo Franjinha Miller to the BJJ Break podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you guys today.
Thanks for coming on here. You are a legendary coach that has brought up a lot of great guys, and you've got a good competition history yourself, and you've got that group of guys underneath you that you've brought up that have been fun to watch compete. And we're excited to hear from you today and learn from you.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate for the kind words, and it's nice always to have recognition there. The work you do for beautiful martial arts, you know.
Franjinha, if somebody is not familiar with you, could you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my full name is actually, my nickname is Franjinha. No, my full name is Ricardo Miller Chaves Ribeiro, and I'm from Brazil, from Rio de Janeiro. And I started my Jiu-Jitsu career at Alliance, and I was a head coach. No head coach, I'm sorry, like a assistant coach for Romero Cavalcanti, and also for Fabio Gurgel for a long year. So that was pretty much my lineage.
And now you're in the United States?
I moved to the United States like it was 1997, and I moved here for my wife and my newborn kid. So I started Paragon here because back in the day Alliance wasn't here yet. So I moved here, and they kind of was kind of a little concerned about Spain that time. So I kind of started like a new company. So I still fight for Alliance back then. I was open Paragon, and everything started from there. That was 1997.
Cool. When did you get your black belt?
Say again?
What year did you get your black belt?
I got my black belt in 1996. So pretty much after my black belt, I moved. I kind of went on looking for new horizons and moved to the United States for new opportunities. And I know the sport was growing here, and I was kind of a little frustrated in Brazil with all the crime, all the things happening there. And also I kind of said, let's go try something new and move for new challenges.
Cool. What if somebody hasn't seen you compete? How would you describe your style of jiu-jitsu?
I think like Jacare always told us that we need to know all kind of games. I mean, so I don't have a specific style. I just try to go for the win, you know. And if I need to be on the ball, I go on the ball. And if I need to be on the top, I go on the top. So I pretty much. I like a lot of side control attacks, you know, so my a lot of like strategies sometimes pull guard and sweep and go to the top and stay there and looking for submissions and improve my position from there. But I don't have like really like a game I'm looking to do all the time, you know, so I just try to film up on it and go from there.
And how would you describe your teaching style?
I trying to be more friendly possible with all my students and trying to make it like they have a good time on the mat, and like trying to do a lot of drills, a lot of like partial attacks, like in defense, like a lot of like partial training. So people like sometimes they do like just side counter attacks, just passive guard attacks or defense. So the way you work all part of the games and not be stuck in just one subject, and so I think that's make the training like very dynamic and fun to do, and people has a good time at the academy and they want to come back.
What would you say that makes Paragon different than a lot of other jiu-jitsu schools?
I think like probably because we started in a small town, it's like not like a big center, like most of Paragon schools in towns that usually below 200,000 people, So I think that make your group like a very tight, and people like trying to see the academy as a family, as a place they want to hang out a lot. And since it's a small town, people can get together more frequently, so they have a lot of parties, a lot of like sometimes like time together, barbecue, stuff like that. And I think that's like to bring like a little unique to the group, not to be connect, not just on the mat, but outside the mat too.
Yeah, it's a good connection you get off the mat, and it helps form that bond on the mat even better.
Jiu-Jitsu start on the mat, but helps. I see Jiu-Jitsu help a lot of people in different ways, not just their fight, but in their personal life. And so we try to be there for your friends, we try to be there I think the way I am trying to be there for my friends to help them in their need. I think I pass that a lot to my students, and they see a lot of them go to schools and all the instructors when I'm mad, and they tell me, hey man, I had a guy from Paragon coming here, a really nice guy, was very, very helpful, very polite. So that's the way I'm trying to be, and that's the way I try to pass my students to be. And I'm glad that so far we've been doing well.
Can you think of an example? It's maybe a little hard off the spot, but of a student that really Jiu-Jitsu helped them a lot off the mat, and what it did for them to help them in their regular life?
We get all kinds of people. You get people they have drug problems, alcohol, and all that kind of heavy drugs. And sometimes they start your training, and that be a good way for they take the stress out, and they start to feel better, they start to feel they're improving and they're creating the bad habits, or have people really overweight, school, and they have a bad food habits, and a lot of times, I tell the guy, hey, Jiu-Jitsu, not just Jiu-Jitsu going to help you, but you need to help yourself, you watch your food, see what you eat, and be more in control of your life, not just eating bad food all the time, and I think that's when people start to see results, they kind of get motivated and keep it going because they start to training, they lose weight, and they see the weight going down, they getting pumped up, and say, oh my gosh, that's really working. And so it's a lot of different things. I have kids coming with no confidence, being big in school, and they start to training, and you start to talk to them, not to fight back, but just to tell them, look, people have the right to do that to you. You should not accept that. You should report that to the teacher. You should report that to the principal. And just sometimes you talk to people. People need to listen to that, and they go and they step up for themselves. And that's the thing is the beauty of the sport. It gives these people confidence to achieve their goals. And it can be each goal they put their mind on, not just to be a world champion. And I think that's what you need to give everybody knows this power, and that's what makes me fall in love with Jiu-Jitsu. Gosh, I can have these tools to help the world. So I was very back then, blow my mind that I could use that to make better things, and I think that's when you. So so if you, I really believe that the energy around the world, it's a big thing. So if I try to put a good energy out there, the academy and to attract good energy back to us. So I think that's the biggest secret for Paragon, that people coming here, and they feel the instructor motivated, to teaching, to pass their knowledge, not just me, but all the black belts that come underneath me, they're trying to keep my same, like, teaching, like, method, and that's, like, trying to make people improve. So people feel that the instructor is motivated to teach them, and they feel good.
Yeah, you mentioned the black belts underneath you. You've got several black belts underneath you that have competed at very high levels. I'm thinking like Jeff Glover and Bill the Girl Cooper. How are those guys doing?
They're doing pretty good. They're luckily today, Jeff teach every MMA in San Diego, so he's doing a very good job there. So he's still fighting under Paragon, and we kind of still get together and are coaching the big tournaments. And Bill is recovering now from knee surgery, so he's going to be back, I think, in the year stronger for next year. So we have a lot of good things coming up, and I have today, I got 32 black belts under me, and a lot of my black belts today, they opened their own school, so I think that's the most gift I have to give these people like opportunities to keep in their life in Jiu-Jitsu, have their own schools. And pretty much all the Paragons today around, it's come from black belts underneath me. So it's keep the group like pretty much the same way, So
yeah,
that's it's
30,
very nice for us.
You said 32 black belts underneath. That's amazing.
Yeah, I got 32 black belts today.
Back on Jeff Glover, how would you describe his style of when he goes grappling competitions?
Yeah, just for being a very small guy, it's. I think like a lot of times in Jiu-Jitsu, see small people, they tend to have the best technique. Because they cannot use that power, So Jeff and Bill, they're still very young, and I think that makes it very technical because we used to have a big group of guys that can, I was like 180, 185, and I have Tyrone Glover, I was 170, and I've done bench chair. All the big guys back then was most people like over 180, and their kids were the only ones, small ones with eyes, so they need to survive. So I think they developed very good technique because they could not overpower us, and I think that's make these small guys a lot of technical and just like being very flexible, develop a good game for defense. In fact, we got a lot of triangles and a lot of like sweeps on the blue belt level. He used to play a lot of guard, and today he's kind of still playing a lot of half guard and in more top control.
Yeah, and he's very well known for an amazing deep half guard. What's with the donkey guard? Does that how do you come up with that? Do you know the story behind that?
I'm not like you fool. I think I was just mess around playing, and sometimes I think you told me one time like you used to go to the mount position, and sometimes it happen to be mount upside down, and from there I think you start to watch different angles at position, and start to say, I think start sometimes like that, and start to play around, and I think that's happen a lot in Jiu-Jitsu. Sometimes people show you one technique, and you learn that technique, and suddenly from there you start to branch out from different positions. So I think that's the beauty of your sport. It's never going to end because sometimes you see one position, and from there you start to branch out to another 10, 15 position. So it's like suppose like the De La Riva, start in De La Riva, and suddenly people start doing De La Riva, and they start going to berimbolo, and start doing sit up single leg. So you start to branch out from that leg attack in the beginning, the simple De La Riva, from there branch out from all these crazy moves today, to warm and gore and all that stuff. So it's nice that in your sport because it's infinite, never end.
That's an interesting way to describe how it keeps changing. That at one point in time it's just a technique, and then it kind of switches to a position from where many techniques come out of that same place. Yeah, it's a lot of times I see that a lot. And that's one way I have to teach a lot. I try and don't make my students understand just the position by itself, but understand the concept behind that position, understand the angle they have in that position when they achieve their technique, and from there sometimes they can go from a lot of different ways. So a lot of times I use it's almost like you're on the roundabout, you reach the same intersection, and you have like the circle there now, and you have a lot of different roads you can take from that circle. So depends which way you want to go, you're going to start to branch out. Sometimes when you mount, you have high amount, or you have chokes on bars, go to the back,
stuff like that. I mean, not just one position by itself, but that way you achieve a lot of things fast, you know. So it depends which one. I like armbar, I go to armbar. Or I like choke, I'm going to be bow and arrow here in the high mount. Or I like take the bag, I'm going to control down and take the bag. So I think when you give that concept to the student, he tends to develop his own game. I mean, basically his strength.
At what belt level does that happen?
You told me that.
What belt level does that usually happen for students, where they kind of understand more than just the techniques and they put them together?
I think like more in the middle, the white belt to the blue belt level. No?
Yeah.
But usually we get probably 6 months of very basic, you know, like in Jiu-Jitsu, like the foundational, and from there they start to build their own style. You know? But I believe like the first year is very important. No? So we have a basic techniques that we show, you know, the basic Jiu-Jitsu that we show for everybody. That I tell the guys, I mean, it's important to have that base, because I think, like I said, I mean, before, I mean, I think if you understand the Bella River concept, I mean, how you to move your hips to get that hook behind the leg, all that base, you're going to start to understand very involved easily. I mean, then go straight to get very involved. I mean, so I believe, like, if you show the basic fundamentals and basic concept, I mean, push and pull, balance, you know, angles, you start to add that thing in the beginner level. It's like almost you build like your building. You know, if you have a good foundation, I mean, you can put how many floors you want. But if you have a weak foundation, you're gonna have like a lot of possibility to build a lot of floors in your house. You're gonna collapse everything, and you're gonna be frustrating and tweeting. But if you have a good fundament, a good foundation, you can put how many floors you want.
Wow, that's a good way to describe that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I see a lot of way like that. I mean, so if you have that good fundamentals, I mean, you're going to be able to branch out by yourself, and everything you see in the future, you're going to understand more easily.
Well, that is cool. What goals do you have for Paragon?
My goal is it's keep it kind of improving Jiu-Jitsu, you know, keep it like kind of developing Jiu-Jitsu, and also the most important thing, like trying to achieve more people I can in the world of Jiu-Jitsu, because I'm a really like believer that Jiu-Jitsu, like I said before, now can help a lot of people not just become a world champion, but have a better life, you know, have like a good lifestyle, you know, and good health, I mean, and be like stress release, I mean, and be able to make a better world for you all. So I think if you happy with yourself, you know, if you're happy with your body, you know, if you're happy with your mind, you're going to be happy in life. So I think that's the most important thing, and luckily I think Jiu-Jitsu can achieve a lot of people that way. It's not for everyone. I have probably 10,000 waivers in my desk, and I have 32 black belts. So that's not a lot of people like that.
Wow.
I was able to make. I mean, probably more than 10,000 people I tried my life. So for sure, I mean, these 10,000 people, I mean, it's not all they achieve the black belt, but I hope like these 10,000 people, a lot of people could like, at least in their moment in their life, you know, they could use Jiu-Jitsu to help them. So that's my goal. You know, that's my goal for Paragon. That's my goal in life. You know, I love competing myself. So once my body can handle that, I'm going to still go into the competition, still trying to support like Jiu-Jitsu, you know, because that's what I live for. I mean, that's how I make my money. That's how I support my family. So I think it's very important for us black belts that we live from Jiu-Jitsu. You know, we need to help Jiu-Jitsu to grow. And I see a big way to help Jiu-Jitsu to grow. It's support tournaments, you know, participate in different competitions, you know, like go to schools, do demonstration, you know, like do all the ABC you need to promote in Jiu-Jitsu, you know, not just like open school and sitting there behind the desk and just teach class. And that's cool too, but there's a lot of different things you can do to help to spread Jiu-Jitsu around.
Well, my mind is still blown by you've got about 10,000 waivers in your desk and 32 black belts. Do you keep all the waivers?
Yeah, I usually have the waiver, you know, you can add in the computer, you know, and you keep the waivers like as a record.
Wow. Too. Do you really think there's 10,000?
Probably around that. Yeah.
That just shows the impressive dedication that the 32 people had to attain the black belt at your school.
Yeah, it's because I mean I'm in Santa Barbara, so it's kind of college student town. So a lot of people come and go. So we have every time people try, you know, and come in, go out, you know. And so I think between all Paragons, I mean not just in my school here, but between all Paragons you achieve that, right? You know, today we had almost back in the time we had 17, we had like 14 schools. So we have a lot of big group of people.
Wow, that's excellent to get. I guess to get the exposure to the college people, and hopefully some of them will stick with it. I know a lot of times in college it's like a part of the life where people try things and they figure out what they like. So it's good exposure to have jiu-jitsu be part of that, and hopefully a lot of them will stick with it.
Yeah, I see a lot of guys in tournaments now that they're starting for me, you know, they're black belt from different people, you know, and it's just good to see that.
Yeah.
I was the guy that put that bug on him, and he left Santa Barbara, he left other schools, and they still do jiu-jitsu. Like I tell my students, hey, you guys need to. I mean, my goal is just make people love jiu-jitsu. I mean, that's how I see it. I mean, if they keep doing jiu-jitsu, even if it's not built for me, I mean, but beat someone else. I mean, but he started for me. I did my part. I mean, I put that bug in his body, and he took that bug, and he's still doing, you know, he's still going to another person, and still training, you know, that's my goal. I mean, he's a black belt from different guy. I'm proud that he started for me, and he keeps going his journey, you know. So I don't believe like I should be starting for me, be black belt under me. It's going to be my pleasure to give that black belt to the guy that started for me, but my goal is make people like jiu-jitsu, and if they not stay for me, at least go to someone else and do it, I'm glad for that.
That's a big goal, because I think some people get frustrated when they lose students and stuff. But you realize people move and things happen, and you just want what's best for the student that's coming through there.
Yeah, exactly. Some people are sometimes not happy with you. I mean, so why you gonna have like that people next to you and you be miserable? No? It's almost like a wedding. If you don't have like a nice wife, if she's not happy with you, it's better let you go. And if you know, it's like you like in school. No? But if you don't work together, better at least like go each one which way and be happy. No? Life's too short to be stressed out.
Yeah.
So it's find your happiness. It's cool.
And it goes back to what you're saying about the good energy and creating a good environment.
Yeah, that's make it easier. No? Sometimes you have a bad apple, the tree needs to take off the apple. It doesn't mess up all the apple. No?
So you have this great attitude towards helping people with jiu-jitsu and off the mat, getting them to have better lives. I imagine when you started jiu-jitsu, it was more about yourself and getting good at jiu-jitsu and self-defense and fitness maybe. But is that true? Did it start off a different path for you when you were younger doing jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, I started when I was 19.
Yeah.
And I have my shoes back then. You know, I had my parents divorced when I was 15. Also, I had some anger inside me. You know, so and I was a very hyper kid. You know, doing soccer and wanted to be like in boxing. You know, so one of my friends told me, "Hey, come by, check out this school." And when I went there, and I met Jacare, you know, and we talked to Jacare, you know, and I started training. You know, I started to be a member of the academy, you know, I start training a little bit, and I get hurt and take a little time out, and I come back after a year again, and keep it going because I was already fell in love with, and my parents being divorced, and all that I had that fight over money, you know, and my mom said, I need to stop paying jiu-jitsu for you, I cannot do that, and I went to Jacare, I told Jacare, I'm sorry, I need to stop, and Jacare told me why. I said, yeah, my parents divorced, you know, and didn't have this issue in my home. And Jacare told me, look, do you think you can help the academy somewhere? I said, yeah, I can help any way you want. So I pretty much started being his pup, you know. And he told me, hey, do this, I do that, I do it. I mean, anything I could help in the academy, you know, clean the mat, and go helping in his house. Do like some chores. I was helping him, and he helped me, and I think that's the big thing, like, stuck with me. To have this gentleman that doesn't know me so well, open his door for me after like 6 months of friendship, and pretty much trusting his house on me, trusting his life for me, and I could do everything, like helping him go to the supermarket, and everything. And it was cool, and I really felt he was my daddy helping me, and that's making me understand that was life about helping each other,
Wow, that's amazing. People it seems like in jiu-jitsu are always nice to each other, or a lot of times they're mostly nice with each other. But occasionally, when somebody goes above and beyond and really opens up to somebody else, it makes a huge impact in their life. And it sounds like that's had an influence on the way you run your academy and the way you treat your students and that level of respect that you have, and you want to help people. Do you still have that? Do you have like a relationship with other students now that where they kind of help you around the gym, kind of like you did for him back then?
Oh yeah, we have all the time like that, you know. Like I mean, that's the way I'm making my living, you know. Like, you know, I mean, but my big goal one day, I mean, going towards that, it's more and more. I mean, I help there. You know, I have Jeff, you know, I have the Pew, I help a little bit, I have Jeff. I mean, so all these guys, I help a little bit, you know. And I never turn, my back to people who don't have money to jiu-jitsu, you know. But I cannot like announce like a free jiu-jitsu for everyone yet. but I try, you know what I mean. And it's for sure a lot of people are trying to take advantage of that, you know. But we always have a way that I tell people it's not about the money, you know. If you don't have the money to pay, how much you can help the academy with, you know what I mean? Give me some hours, I mean. I'm not going to turn my back for you because you don't have the money, but you need to help in some way, you know.
Yeah, and I think
we always have scholarship in the academy. Always going to have it. I mean, you always have that, and we try to help the most we can. I mean, but unfortunately, I cannot just tell the guys it's free for everyone. I mean, I wish, and I hope one day I achieve that. You know, but my goal, I want to start like a big, like, I mean, one of my goals, I mean, is like always to try to have, you know, trying to help people with the gis. You know, I support like a lot of people with their free gis, like. For like low-income people in Brazil, you know, trying to always like have fundraising the academy, you know, and get gis like for all the gis and like, donate, you know, and always trying to help on the way, you know, and I think that's, I mean, it's important in life if you help, I mean, in some way, you know.
Yeah, it's
make you feel good.
Yeah, and it's that's a very noble goal and thing you do. You know, and you can't let everybody train for free because you do have bills to pay and you have to live a comfortable lifestyle. But it's great to see you take people and help them out when they need it. And it's I look back probably when you were doing that, when you were young, and you're going through a little bit of a hard time. I imagine that you really loved jiu-jitsu, and they saw that in you. And that if you could, you would pay for it, but you weren't able to. And then also, I think another thing that helps, if you're going to help out around the gym and clean things and do things, that you, when you're training, you listen and you try really hard and you do what you're told. You know, it's not some people, you know, they come in and they pay their money and they try some things and they pay attention most of the time, but not all the time. That's not the perfect student. If you're going to help somebody out, you want them to be a great student. And
I think that's was a big help for me as a man to understand that things in life don't come for free. I mean, it's not completely free. I was helping too. I mean, so I was working hard. So that's making me, I think, back then to be strong, to be able to let on after a couple of years. I mean, pretty much after 8 years now that I was training with Ricardo to become a black belt. That I think all that lesson he gave me to be humble, to start doing like jobs that sometimes people don't want to do it, helped me to become the man I was back then, to move to the United States. I mean, to try to speak any English and be strong to say, no, I love this, I want to do that. And come to the United States, I mean, be able to, back then, I mean, I wasn't nobody, you know. It's not like today you being like a high-star in jiu-jitsu, coming here, if you like a sponsor, give you $5,000-$6,000 a month, you start your career. I mean, I come here, I have nothing. I need to work in like delivery pizza and newspapers. I mean, construction, all jobs you name, I work. And until I be able to open Paragon, and even when I opened Paragon, I was 2 years making no money, just to live from the loan that my sponsor got in the bank to help open the school. It took me 2 years to take Paragon off the red and start making money. You know what I mean? And become able to quit the pizza job to just work in jiu-jitsu. So all that lesson that taught me, it's helped me to overpass this hard time in the beginning. I mean, to be able to do what I love to do. And I always believe that I was going to achieve my goal in jiu-jitsu, you know. So it's not that a lot of people today, I mean, they're glad. I'm glad they can be able to do that today. The level jiu-jitsu achieved in me, to be able to be a higher guy in Jiu-Jitsu and come in here, get a job the right way, and live your dream the right way in Jiu-Jitsu. I mean, that's great. Show that your sport involved a lot, that people today can do that. But I need to do all the American school. I mean, I need to come in here and learn the language, you know, do all the jobs, support my family, you know, work for like $8 an hour on me, go up to 10, and do all the ABC in America to succeed. So I think that lesson that kind of taught me, I mean, that I could do it, was priceless.
Wow, that's a great lesson to learn. What does the word Paragon mean? How did you choose that?
Yeah, Paragon, it means model of excellence. So it's like one of no equal. So it's pretty much you can say Rickson Gracie is the Paragon fighter. I mean, something like that. Or Michael Jordan is the Paragon basketball player. So pretty much means like model of excellence.
Model, and is that also a play off the mat? I mean, it looks like it from talking to you. It seems like that's the way you are off the mat as well. Excellence.
Yeah, I hope not. I'm not God, but trying to do my best, you know, to help to make a better world for we all, you know. So I'm trying to make my part.
That's cool. I like that. You have a website. Is it ParagonBJJ.org?
Yeah, that's like the website for our association, you know, ParagonBJJ.org, and everybody that interested to learn more about Paragon and see a school close to your house. If you have some location close to you, you can go to ParagonBJJ.org and check the locations. You're going to see all the Paragons around. And if you have any questions, shoot me an email to, and I'm going to be glad to help. And also, you have like a website, like an instructional website called jiu-jitsupedia.com. And we have a lot of curriculum like that we follow. And it's a very detailed website about belts, and not just jiu-jitsu, but we're trying to bring all kinds of grappling people. So you have judo, you have wrestling, and we try to involve the sport like in all kinds of grapplings to like in that website that make people like learn how to stand their feet, you know, go to the ground and do all the grappling techniques, takedowns and passive guards, sweeps, and have like curriculum for white belt, blue belts, like all the beginner guys can start there.
What was that website called?
jiu-jitsupedia.com.
Okay, that's cool. That's a great resource for people to check out and learn from you there.
Yeah, it's all levels, but very good, I think, for the beginner shoe, because it has all the fundamental position there, breakdown, and you can break it down pretty much by belt, the techniques that we encourage the beginner guys to learn first. And after that, we can kind of go pretty much by on in the other techniques, but we have like all the white belt curriculum there. I go to the blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, and black belts.
Well, that's excellent. You've got a lot of students, obviously, coming through the gym, and it's common for a newer student to want to compete. What advice would you give a person who's going to compete for the first time?
The competition, like jiu-jitsu,
it's
getting more and more higher level now. So I tell a lot of people, like, start these small tournaments first, you know, and like first, like, you make sure you're training, like you pretty much like 4 or 5 days a week, you know, and not just the training, but your conditioning too. It's very important. So I tell the guys first, like, trying to at least like 4 to 6 months, you know, before you start competing, so that way you can kind of go at least with some goal, you know. So I think like usually take 6 months for you to get in good shape, you know. So I tell guys, hey, make sure you want to compete, watch your diet, you know, what you're eating, like make sure you're training frequently, you know, doing your drills, make sure your techniques up there too, that your wings up there, and start to pick like small tournaments first, so that way you can start to kind of build your competition like pace, you know, before you go to the big tournaments like Pan Am's or, you know. So trying to pick small ones first, local small ones, and get some experience there, and after go to the big ones. But I believe after, like anything after 4 or 5 months, I mean, people like start getting ready to start to jump in the white belt level there and start competing, you know.
Yeah, I like that's good advice to do the smaller one first, that way, or a few. That way, you're not spending a whole lot of money and making a big thing of it, and you don't have any experience.
Yeah, tournaments can be expensive. Go to the big ones today, you know, especially if you need to travel. So luckily today we have a lot of small competition, I mean, that we can send students to try, you know, and they go and they and they can try there, not enough to go. But to be honest with you, I think competition is really, really like a small percentage the academy does. I mean, like today we have a lot of people, and I think we had teams like 30, 40 people to the tournaments. I mean, like if you think about all the Paragons, we have like probably like over 2,000 students in all Paragons, and like 20 competing. 30 competing. So it's cool. I mean, for personal goals, but
yeah,
I think it's a small percentage of people compete.
Yeah, so, and I think
that's a lot of how much competition can grow. I mean.
A lot of people people are busy, Some people can only train one time, maybe 2 times or 3 times a week. And if you're going to compete, people want to train more and more. What advice do you have for somebody who's only able to get on the mat once a week, maybe twice?
I think like you can, the best thing to do is help people do it. If you can just do twice a week, once a week, do it. You're going to benefit for that. For sure, you cannot do it once a week and trying to be a world champion. That's for sure not. I'm not like doing that. But like I said before, I think Jiu-Jitsu can benefit everyone, and any time you can put that, it's more you go, you're going to get better. I mean, you're going to achieve your goals. So, I mean, I see Jiu-Jitsu almost like a therapy. So if you can just go to your doctor for therapy once a week, it's better than you don't go, right?
Yeah.
If you need more therapy. You need therapy 4 days a week. Go to your doctor 4 days a week, and you're probably going to see better results. So it's up to you how much you want to put, based on what goal you have,
Yeah.
But it's nice to be in the mat, and if we can just do once a week, do once a week. I encourage people to at least do twice a week. I mean, if they're going to take Jiu-Jitsu just as a hobby, as a little benefit for their life, twice a week, I think it's enough. I mean, 2 or 3 times a week. But if you want to compete, for sure, you need to go pretty much every day. And not just Jiu-Jitsu, but like I said, conditioning, and have your good lifestyle, And so that's, I think, for competition, that's more important than just personal life. I mean, my personal life, for sure, you're going to have a good habits, too, good food, don't be like drinking every day, But so you can benefit in both ways.
Yeah. What would be a good goal for a student to have during their first year of training?
Depends on his goals. I mean, if he's overweight, I think his first goal should be to drop the weight. It means he's being a confidence, like to trying to train and build that confidence. So I think like you need to set up goals pretty much every year. I mean, I think like a lot of times for my personal life, I try and set up goals for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. Even if I don't achieve that goal, but I have something that I aim for. So a lot of times for me, sometimes, okay, I close my eyes, I think about what I want to be in 1 year from now and what I want to build after for 5 years. I mean, what I want to build for 10 years. I mean, and I have that goal a little bit. Sometimes you write down or put in your fridge, or write on your cell phone, you can watch. I mean, and when you have that kind of little goal, I think you have the direction that you're looking for, and you're going to start to get results for that road that you take,
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't achieve that goal in 5 years, you're going to achieve that goal in 10 years. But at least you aim for that goal. But sometimes you achieve faster too, because you focus in that goal. So when I focus on building school, I need to promote myself. I need to go there, promote, and not just be seen around and wait the student come to the door. I need to make advertising. I need to go around. I need to pass flyers. I need to talk to people. I need to invite people to come to school. I need to move to make that goal happen. So I think it depends what your goal is. You can say, "Oh, I want to lose weight." Okay, so what am I going to do to lose weight? I need to watch my diet. I need to eat out. I need to exercise. I need to make sure I don't drink beer every weekend. Like 5-10 beers a day. Friday. So I reduce for 1 beer. So the way you kind of. And you see that goals coming, and you're going to feel like, oh, I'm achieving that. And I think once you see that beginner, you're going to get more motivated and keep going strong. But you need to do the first step.
Yeah, that's good advice. If you could think back in time when you were a colored belt, before you got your black belt, what frustrated you, and then how did you get past that?
Jiu-Jitsu sometimes frustrates a lot. I remember being like a purple belt, and sometimes like being brown belt. and training, sometimes get tapped 10 times and go back home, like sometimes like crying the blood. Oh my gosh, I think I'm suck. I'm never gonna learn these. I mean, and so it's a martial arts like gonna rumble you a lot. I mean, and make you understand that you're never like gonna be the best. I mean, you always can't shoot for the best. You always can kind of go for it. I mean, sometimes you're the best at that time. But after that, sometimes going to come someone who's going to beat you up, and he's going to be the best after you. And after you, so it's a cycle, no? So it's hard to be the champion forever, no?
Yeah.
So you, but like let's talk about the goals. I mean, when you have that goal, sometimes it happens that you be the best at that time, and you start to conquer that because that's your journey. You know, at that time, you be like more the number one all the time. But it's hard. I mean, you see guys change the number one all the time. I mean, you see guys in different divisions like, oh, this guy win this year, this guy win next year. Doesn't mean who's the best. I mean, but he's the best that year. But the next guy is going to be the best the other year. And now they change place again. So you see that in your sport all the time. Different divisions, you see guys winning, losing. You see Puxecha, Rodolfo, Cobrinha, Mendes. I mean, oh, you're going to say Mendes is better than Cobrinha, Cobrinha better than Mendes. I don't know. But Cobrinha was the main one time, Mendes was the main now. It's always changing. I mean, it's probably going to come another one. You're going to beat the Mendes. I mean, so it's always changing, you know. So you have that time that you're going to be the champion. But all them, I mean, achieve their goals. So all them today, I mean, happy, you know, successful, health, you know. I think that's the most important thing. So it's important, like, you just have that goal and keep it going. And back in the day, sometimes, like I said, I mean, I was thinking I'm going to make it, I think about quitting, you know, but the motivation for me always was, like, improve myself. I mean, I was, like, make sure I was growing, you know. And so sometimes after that tap, you know, come the next day in school, hey, coach, I tap, yes, there's so much I need to do. Like I say, man, just stick with it. I mean, it's not going to be always that pleasure. Sometimes when I have a little plateaus in your game, they're going to be stuck a little bit. But that doesn't mean you're not learning. I mean, sometimes it's just so complex. I mean, a lot of times I tell my students, think about like you're doing a 10,000-piece puzzle, okay? Sometimes you're 10,000 pieces, you're not going to find piece by piece, you're going to connect them. Sometimes you're going to have 200 pieces together here. You're going to have 300 pieces together on the other side. And you have 300 pieces together this side. Sometimes one technique, one guy show you, you're going to be able to connect that 200 with that 300 piece. So now you have 500 pieces together. And your game do that big jump, boom. And now you have that, that means a lot more tools in your box that you can play with. And sometimes you play the 500 tools, you develop a good technique there, your game starts to become beautiful there. And you boom, here another plateau. So now you don't have the piece connect again, but you start to build again. And now you have another 200 here, another 200 here. Now you find another piece to connect that 700 piece. And you start to growing. All the time you're growing until you can get the 10,000 pieces together. You know what I mean? But it's going slow. It's not like, I mean, it's just so complicated. I mean, so many positions. I mean, I'm doing this for 35 years. I cannot tell you how many positions you have. I cannot tell you just has 10,000 positions. I'm going to be lying. It's infinite. So this never is going to end. But more and more, my pitch is getting bigger and bigger. I mean, because I'm stick with and it's still growing, and they're going to grow more. So my frame is going to be the biggest I want. It just depends on me how much I want to make that frame be big.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I'm happy for 10,000 frames, but sometimes I want to achieve 100,000 frames. So it depends on me how much I want to do jiu-jitsu, how much I want to get the jiu-jitsu and keep it going. I mean, sometimes I don't want to grow so much because, you know what, more I grow, I don't have time for my family. So sometimes, you know what, it's better keep where I am now. Because sometimes, I mean, if I grow more, I'm going to be working 24/7. You know what I mean?
I like your...
You know what? I'm happy where I am.
Yeah.
I don't need more than this. I want to live my life too, right? So it depends on you. I think like you're going to build that. I mean, but like I said, I mean, you're going to have a lot of frustration. You're going to have a lot of times you're going to think about quitting. But if you have that love, you're not going to quit. So that's, I think, the most important thing in jiu-jitsu. You need to love jiu-jitsu more, I mean, than anything else. I mean, like competition, you know, you need to love the sport, and you're going to be able to do this forever. I mean, if you love jiu-jitsu, you're going to, I mean, my mom used to say, why don't you stop this? Look your ears, you're getting out the form. Look your joints, it's blowing away. Oh, you have this, you hurt your arm, you know what I mean? You deform yourself. I say, Mom, I'm sorry, I love this. I cannot stop. I'm not going to be top model. I mean, I'm not going to take pictures from magazines. I don't care about my ears, and I don't care about my joints. And I just love jiu-jitsu. I'm just doing jiu-jitsu. And once you figure out that shit for not making me quit, okay, let's go do it.
I love your example about the puzzle. I think about like a blue belt, and they're putting those pieces together, and they're trying to figure out things. And then one day they come to class and they're normal. They're what they usually do. And then 2 weeks go by. It's like they connected like the right piece in their puzzle, and they're way better than they were 2 weeks ago. It's like it's amazing sometimes.
The blue belt is the kid 6 years old put like 5 pieces together. You go to the blue belt, you get like 10,000 pieces.
Yeah.
When you go to the purple belt, you can get a 500 piece.
It's just amazing how
as you grow, you're going to start to get more and more pieces together.
Yeah, and some of those pieces are a lot more important than others. That
exactly.
when they get them, you could tell.
I mean, it's hard to explain. I mean, but I think I like the puzzle idea because it's kind of show. But I don't know what position changed in my game. But I remember like going to seminars and sometimes or being exposed to some different people and find one position that changes my mind completely about that game. I mean, or connects a lot of things together fast. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, like, I think that's the difference reason. It's like, it's so crazy that sometimes you find one position that, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. I mean, or that's some position that you know, but it's just someone show you different that position. I mean, sometimes it can be a mount position. I mean, you mount the guy, but sometimes they can show you the tail, or you put your weight here, or you move your hands there. That can change completely the way you see it. It's not that sometimes your teacher show wrong, but just that guy explains it different. So that's a lot of things crazy in our sport. I mean, sometimes we can put like 6 instructors showing different, same position, I mean 6 instructors, then you can get totally different one position for a different instructor.
Wow,
that 6 guys can show mount escape, and you can find different ways.
You're hundreds of miles away from me right now, but I think that the way you're explaining this to me with the puzzle, like I'm literally like putting in some puzzles in some pieces in my jiu-jitsu puzzle that help me understand what's going on better, and it's going to help me learn things in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's a big help, and you see how people change again. When I started, I used to play a lot of close guard. I was just completely close guard school, and bars, triangle, sweeps, and close guard me. And suddenly start to branch out from there. Today I'm playing half guard to sweeps. I mean, so it's my game changed as the time. And sometimes suddenly I see myself playing more top control in the purple belt level, in the brown belt, or smashing more people, more top control, takedowns, pass the guard. And now in the black belt, I'm back doing a lot of half guard sweeps and go top. Now the game's always evolving, always changing, But I mean, I like studying jiu-jitsu. I have like a lot with myself, like many DVDs, VHS. I mean, I have things that I cannot even see because I don't have time to see so many DVDs I have in VHS. But all the way I have some time, I watch, and sometimes they bring positions to the school, some old school position that we branch out from there again. So you're always improving, And I tell my students from jiu-jitsu, it's almost like a medicine or law school. I mean, I tell the guys, think about like a doctor. I mean, you always have a new virus come out. So you need to find, the antidote for that virus. I mean, or if you're a lawyer, you always have bad guys in the world. I always have some bad guys when I go around the system, finding new things that they can kind of go around and they don't get punished. So the law is always involved. You always people need to come a new law. I tell the guys, remember back in the day when internet wasn't crime? People like, no, he's not doing crime. We cannot sue this guy because the crime he did on the internet. It doesn't have a law for that. So they need to build a law for the internet. So it's always involved, so you need to keep your mind open to new things all the time. And that's how I see jiu-jitsu. It's always people come to new things, Now I have Keenan coming to the one guard, It's kind of new game people start to developing, The Mendes and the Miao brothers about the big bolo, So it's always people like finding new things. Other people need studying and from there improving, So that's I think how jiu-jitsu works.
Yeah, it just keeps changing and
keeping changing.
If somebody wants to train with you or to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to find you?
You can hit my email to paragonbjj.com. Okay. I'm sorry, paragonbjj@gmail.com. I'm sorry, that's the website. On the website. So paragonbjj@gmail.com. Okay, or you can hit me on the Facebook, Franjinha, Ricardo Franjinha Miller. You can hit me there too. And that's the best way to reach me through the Facebook or through the Paragon website. If you go to the paragonbjj.org, you can send an email there too. Okay, or you can send it straight to my email, paragonbjj.com, paragonbjj@gmail.com.
Sounds good, and I'll put links to those and also the Jiu-Jitsupedia on the show notes.
Yes,
for everybody to go see that.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
And you've got it looks like $15 a month sign up is the thing. You've got tons of information: jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling, self-defense. A lot of great instructionals on the website.
Yeah, it's growing up and doing very well, and more you get like new people come up. We have like Olympic medalists there, Steve Avers. We have a lot of judo guys, and we have Jeff, myself, Tyrone Glover, and all the black belt, and we have a lot of good Sean Apperson, the guy that actually helped me to was the president of the business to doing that. So we have a lot of good people there that you guys can learn from.
Very cool. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I appreciate you doing the interview and sharing a lot of your knowledge and advice with us.
Totally my pleasure, man. I appreciate it. And anytime you guys need help, just give me a call.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you. Yep.
I want to thank Ricardo Franjinha Miller for the interview. It's always great to talk to such a legend like that and get his knowledge and wisdom and his ideas about training. He was really important how you treat people and how he's a team leader. He's not just teaching jiu-jitsu. He's developing his team, and he's making decisions that make his team healthy every day. And I really appreciate that, and that's good to hear. That's just even for the coaches to learn something. A lot of times people are learning. White belts and blue belts are learning about jiu-jitsu. Coaches, I think, would learn a lot from listening to Franjinha today.
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
So my calculator is out, and the
you got
calculations.
The calculator out.
Yeah, actually, it's an app on my phone.
Oh, okay.
So my phone.
I thought you had the abacus back in the day.
My phone is one of those nice phones that I could put apps on, man.
I'm showing my age when I talk about an abacus.
I don't know how to use that, Gary. So you're one up on me. I need to get. Maybe I should get an abacus app.
There you go. I bet they got one.
You think they have one?
Yeah.
That would be a little bit weird, but anyway. So I got my fancy app here. It's telling me that. Watch me be wrong on my math. That'd be hilarious. That if we have 10,000 people come in and sign waivers, and we currently have 32 black belts, that it really takes about 312 people to make a black belt.
That is impressive.
Yeah. I'm looking at that, and I'm trying to... The number is a little bit off automatically because he's got students who are purple belts, blue belts, and brown belts that are going to be black belts, and they're factored into that 10,000. But really, you walk into his gym, he's not got 9,000 people with blue belts on. Most of the 10,000 has came in, checked it out, and left.
Yeah, and like you said, he's got a bunch of blue belts that have already made it past that point. They're probably never going to quit. They're going to be they're on the path of black belt, like purple belts, a bunch of brown belts getting ready. And once you get past that certain period, certain time frame, it seems like a lot of people don't quit after that time period.
Gary, we were talking a little bit off the air, and we kind of discovered like an interesting phenomenon that will happen eventually in the United States. That eventually, what happens to the belt system at a typical gym, Gary?
Byron and I were talking back when we first started training. There were very few people who had a black belt, especially in Kansas. There weren't any. And Eric Williams came up for a seminar, and that was the first black belt we ever met. We were just in awe. But, talking about people who just stick with it, once you get to a certain point, it seems like you're going to stick with it. And you go to a typical gym now, and there's more – in the United States, there's more white belts, blue belts versus black belts and brown belts. But we were thinking that it's going to change. Jiu-jitsu is becoming so popular. It's going nowhere. It's going to stay around. That we were thinking that, years down the road, there's going to be more black belts, more brown belts. It's going to be top heavy. All the people who just keep going. There's so many purples and white belts and blue belts and brown belts that aren't going to quit. They're all going to keep going up and become these black belts, and there's just going to be a ton of upper level belts in years to come, and I think it's going to be pretty neat. Yeah,
you're always going to have that handful. Each gym, based on the size of the city and the marketing that the gym's doing, is going to have 2 or 6 or 20 new students. But as the students mature and as the gym matures, the upper belts don't leave. So eventually, like a lot of times in Brazil, they have more black belts in their gym than they have white belts, because it takes a lot of white belts to come in and go through, and the few that stick with it. But once you get to a certain level, you stick with it. There's no point in leaving, and you get gyms that are top heavy, like you said. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, that's just awesome, because I remember when me and you were trying to learn. Our instructor was a purple belt. I think we had blue belts we promoted. Is that correct?
I don't think there was a blue belt.
There were no blue belts. So we were all just kind of leading the blind. I used to ask you all the questions. You were kind of the guy I looked up to, and you started after me. So I mean, it's got to be great for people training today. There's a lot more access to black belts, brown belts, purple belts. We didn't have the opportunity.
Yeah, so I'm just looking forward to the time when the gyms kind of nationwide and really worldwide will mature, and the skill level is going to be high, and the coaching levels will be very high in a lot of gyms. So that's going to be neat.
And besides that, you're also going to have strength and technique.
There you go. Back to the article.
I knew I could find that back in.
Yeah, you're always bringing up that's always good to kind of get a refresher on that. Gary, I have a little pile of BJJ Brick gi patches sitting here next to me. We send them out to people who live in the United States, but you can't buy these, Gary.
You can't buy them. They're not for sale.
How would somebody get one if you can't buy them?
The way that I would go about getting one, if I were getting one myself, is I would give a review on iTunes to BJJ Brick, and I'd make the review funny as possible. And so we know it's you. Then send us an email at bjjbrick@gmail.com, or send us a message on our Facebook page. And if you live in the United States, we will send you one out absolutely free of charge, shipping included. We'll take care of that too. We definitely want you to wear our BJJ Brick gi patch.
Absolutely. It's just that simple. How could we afford to do something like this, Gary? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. But the way we afford to do it is through the audiobook, First Year in BJJ. It's a audiobook of you there, Byron, 2.5 hours of guiding the person through the first year of Jiu-Jitsu, and it's only $11.99. It's getting great reviews, and it'll definitely help your game.
There we go. And you mentioned our email address. If you want to get a hold of us for anything at all, send us an article.
bjjbrick@gmail.com. That's how to get a hold of us.
It's just that easy, Gary. We also have a Facebook page.
It is easy.
We also have a Facebook page, and that is a pretty good way to get a hold of us as well.
Yep, one of the two. That's the best way.
Gary, we kind of hinted that you had an audiobook coming up here. Everyone's very excited to hear about this one. You've got your years of training and experience. You've got your next book that you've been working on, and I know you're working hard. It's called Lions and Tigers and Bears, Oh My, Lessons from Going Over the Warning Sign at the Zoo. Gary, you've learned a lot by jumping over that little warning sign and really getting mixed up with some pretty fierce animals. Can you give us maybe a tip or two?
Lions, Tigers, and Bears didn't really work out too good. I ended up getting a little bit of trouble. I tried the lion killer choke, the Mate Leon, and it did not work. It did not work. I ended up getting bit numerous times, put in the hospital for weeks on end. But so my advice would be, do not jump into the bear cage, lion cage, or tiger cage. It could be disastrous.
There you go. That's just simple, honest advice. And I know your audiobook, the book you're working on, the ebook for this is quite graphic. You've got a lot of of scar tissues and a couple of missing body parts that really you can't tell that are missing until, in normal walking around, nobody knows that this is going on there. But
and the nice thing too is I'm even going to send audio clips. A couple of my buddies had that on audio when I was getting. You can hear bones crunching. You can hear all that. So definitely check out the audio clip.
Oh man, I got to renew my zoo membership now, Gary.
Yeah, yep, definitely hit up the zoo.
All right, well, that's a lot of fun, and I know we're all looking forward to that. And you can be sure when that comes out, I'll be sending out an email about that.
Yep, crunch.
Crunch. All right. Well, it's been a lot of fun this week. Next week, we have a legend in jiu-jitsu teaching. He's one of the guys that has taught me. I've never met him, but when I type up a technique online, he pops up more often, I think, than anybody else. Stephen Kesty is getting on the show.
Yep, definitely. I think everybody's seen a lot of stuff from Stephen Kesty, and I'm the same way. I feel like he's a teacher for me, even though I've never met him either. So I've learned a lot from him.
Yep. So that's just a week away, my friends. Or if you're listening,
1 week away. Yep. So definitely check it out.
All right. Well, until then, stay sweaty, my friends.
And don't forget to shower.
Thank you for listening. I hope you find the time today to roll. After all, the best way to get better at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.